Pregnant wife confronts millionaire husband at a hotel bar after catching him with mistress. A hushed tension filled the opulent bar at the Plaza Hotel, where glittering chandeliers shimmered over velvet seats and polished floors. There, near the gleaming marble counter, stood Anna, her heart thundering, her pregnant belly a silent testament to months of secrets and suspicions. She couldn't tear her eyes away from Daniel, her billionaire husband, who was leaning far too close to a woman in a figure-hugging red dress. A swirl of betrayal and fury surged through Anna's veins, compelling her to take a step forward. Voices in her mind warned her to run, but she couldn't. She had come too far to simply turn back now. Anna Calhoun married Daniel Calhoun 3 years ago in a lavish ceremony that lit up the society pages. Every detail had been meticulously planned, the grand hall decorated with over 100,000 white roses, the custom lace gown from Vera Wang, the multi-tiered cake that shimmered under chandeliers. Their union was celebrated like a fairy tale come to life, but Anna never quite believed in perfect fairy tales. She knew that behind the sparkle of wealth there could be long shadows of ambition, secrecy, and unspoken resentments. Before marrying Daniel, Anna was a small-town girl from Ohio. Her father worked at a local auto parts factory, and her mother taught second-grade children. Anna's ambition was to move to a bustling city, maybe become a journalist or writer, to share stories of courage and transformation. Meeting Daniel was the biggest transformation of her life. He was everything she had ever imagined: tall, charismatic, financially successful beyond reason. His business empire, Calhoun Industries, owned a chain of global tech firms, real estate investments, and even a few luxury brands. By the time Anna met him at an art fundraiser in Manhattan, Daniel had already claimed the title of billionaire and the attention of every socialite in New York. They had a whirlwind romance, exclusive dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants, spontaneous trips to Europe in his private jet, and passionate nights in his penthouse overlooking Central Park. Yet even in those heady days, Anna sometimes felt a rift forming. Daniel was always on his phone, dealing with urgent matters, whispering about investor calls. At first, she attributed it to the demands of high-stakes business. But over time, the phone calls grew more secretive, the late-night meetings more frequent, and the explanations less convincing. When Anna discovered she was pregnant, she was overjoyed. She hoped this would help them both reconnect and step away from the shadows that seemed to linger. But as her belly grew, Daniel seemed more distant than ever. Dinners at home became dinners alone. Business trips multiplied, and the rumors, those echoing whispers of a mistress, began to swirl among the staff of their penthouse. It was a housekeeper's accidental mention that first planted a seed of doubt in Anna's mind. There was talk of Daniel being seen at odd hours with a mysterious woman, a swirl of perfume clinging to his suits at times when he was allegedly just working late. She tried to confront Daniel, gently at first, but he brushed her off, blaming overwork and outside pressures. Anna wasn't satisfied, but she lacked concrete proof. With the pregnancy draining her energy, she buried her doubts, hoping her husband would come to his senses, or that her mind was simply exaggerating from hormones and stress. A love so strong couldn't just vanish, she convinced herself daily. She tried to recall the simple, genuine moments early in their relationship, nights of laughter and comfort, their shared dreams for a happy family. It was enough to keep her afloat, at least for a little while. One evening, Anna was in her study, once her writing nook, now more of a neglected corner, when the phone rang. Daniel had forgotten his personal phone at home. On the caller ID, an unfamiliar name flashed: Tessa. Something in Anna's chest tightened, a primal sense of dread. She answered. A female voice, sultry and self-assured, asked for Daniel. Anna struggled to keep her voice calm. "He's not here right now," Anna said. "May I ask who's calling?" "This is Tessa, his business associate," the woman replied. "We have a meeting scheduled in an hour." Just let him know I'll be waiting at the Golden Vine restaurant. He'll know what it's about." When Anna confronted Daniel about Tessa later, the expression on his face was fleeting, caught between guilt and feigned indifference. He insisted Tessa was just a new consultant he'd hired to help with a deal overseas. In typical Daniel fashion, he pivoted the conversation, making Anna feel childish for suspecting anything. But the weight in her chest refused to fade. As the weeks passed, more odd incidents surfaced. Jewelry receipts in Daniel's briefcase that didn't match anything Anna had ever seen. Cryptic texts on his phone that he shielded from view. He started wearing cologne she'd never smelled before. Where once he would come home from an overseas trip, eager to hold her, now he walked in, phone pressed to his ear, barely acknowledging her presence. The baby in her belly kicked more vigorously each time a new wave of doubt battered her heart, as if the little life inside her sensed the tension. Late one night, Anna found herself pacing the bedroom. She touched the framed photo from their wedding, her reflection glimmering in the glass. She remembered how safe she felt in Daniel's arms, how he promised to protect her from life's harsh winds. Yet here she was, uncertain, anxious, desperate for answers. She was pregnant and exhausted, but a fierce resolve flickered within her. She would find the truth, no matter the cost. The decisive clue came from someone Anna least expected to help, Daniel's younger sister, Alicia. While Alicia wasn't particularly close with Anna, they had had their share of frosty interactions at family gatherings. She had a streak of empathy for the unborn baby. Alicia worried about Anna's health under so much stress. With eyebrows furrowed, Alicia confessed that she overheard Daniel talking about meeting Tessa at the Plaza Hotel bar in New York City. He was apparently quite insistent on secrecy. Alicia suspected it wasn't the first time they'd met there. Anna's heart hammered. The Plaza Hotel was famous for its exclusivity. The bar, adorned with classic decor and a refined ambiance, was a hotspot for discreet high society meetups. If Daniel was meeting Tessa there, it wasn't for a simple business chat. Anna realized she had to see it with her own eyes. She wouldn't rest until she had the unfiltered truth. She waited for the right moment. Daniel mentioned a business meeting scheduled for Friday evening. His manner was evasive, and he declined to give more details. That was enough for Anna. She planned meticulously, rehearsing scenarios. One moment she felt confident, steeled by righteous anger. The next, she was consumed by heartbreak, wishing she could bury her head in the sand. But in the end, the baby's well-being fueled her determination. She needed to know if this marriage, this life she was building, was a lie. Friday evening arrived, carrying a cold wind that rustled through the streets of Manhattan. Anna stepped out of a taxi a block away from the plaza. She wore a simple black maternity dress that clung to her swollen belly. She felt every bit the wronged heroine in a tragic play, but she forced herself to keep going. The doorman recognized her from past events. She offered a tight-lipped smile and prayed he wouldn't make a fuss. Luckily, he didn't. She glided into the lobby, heart pounding like thunder. Light from the grand chandeliers sparkled across the marble floors, reminiscent of a star-filled sky. She could barely hear the piano music in the background over the roar in her ears. Every footstep echoed like a final countdown to the confrontation. She found her way to the bar, a dimly lit space with plush seating and a sophisticated hush. She paused near a large palm plant, scanning the room. Then she saw them, Daniel and Tessa, at a small corner table, heads bent close, a bottle of expensive champagne half consumed. Tessa's laughter cut through the hush like a blade, confident and almost mocking. Her hand rested on Daniel's wrist. The spark in his eyes, so foreign to Anna these days, made Anna's stomach churn. Anna nearly turned around, wanting to escape the agony, but something in her refused to run. The baby stirred, giving her courage. She stepped forward, each step measured. She reached their table, her shadow falling over the pair, who looked up in surprise. Daniel's expression twisted into panic, while Tessa's red lips curled into a subtle, knowing smile. The moment felt suspended in time. Anna realized every fear, every suspicion had been warranted. She inhaled deeply and spoke, her voice trembling but resolute. "Daniel, I see your business meeting is going well." Daniel stood so abruptly that his chair screeched across the marble floor. Eyes from other guests darted toward the commotion. Tessa, with an unsettling composure, calmly sipped from her glass. Anna could see the condescension in her gaze, as though Tessa relished the scene. "Anna," Daniel began, hands raised in a gesture of surrender. Why are you here?" Anna tightened her grip on her purse strap. Her voice was cold and steady. "I think the better question is why you're here." She looked pointedly at Tessa, then at the half-empty champagne bottle. The golden bubbles sparkled like shattered trust. And with her, no less, the hush in the bar intensified. Daniel's face flushed. Tessa slowly stood, adjusting the folds of her glamorous red dress. She wore an emerald necklace that glimmered in the low light, a necklace that Anna recognized from a suspicious jewelry receipt she'd once found. "I don't think we need a scene," Tessa said lightly, looking around as if annoyed by the attention. Her confidence stoked Anna's anger. Tessa turned to Daniel with a smirk. "Maybe we should go somewhere else." "You're not going anywhere," Anna interjected, leveling her gaze at both of them. The baby shifted in her belly, an echo of the turmoil raging inside her. "Daniel, explain. Right here, right now." Daniel glanced around at the onlookers. He lowered his voice, attempting to steer them toward a more private corner. But Anna refused to move. She wanted the truth, wanted it in public, if that's what it took to finally shatter the lies. When Daniel didn't speak, Tessa decided to fill the silence. "Anna, darling," she purred, "I'm sure this is all very confusing for you in your condition. But Daniel and I have business that involves negotiations, consultations, that sort of thing. He just wanted a quieter place to talk. That's all." Anna bristled at Tessa's condescending tone. "It's quite a negotiation," she spat. "Necklaces, champagne, an intimate corner booth. Really, I'd love to hear the details of this lucrative contract." She turned again to Daniel. "Is this where all your late nights and secretive phone calls have gone? Is she your strategy to expand your empire?" Daniel pressed his lips into a grim line, cheeks burning with shame. He mumbled that they should leave the bar to discuss things privately, but Anna's fury was unstoppable. "Go on," she demanded, tears threatening to escape. "I want to hear you say it. Tell me that what I'm seeing is just business." Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. The tension drew audible gasps from nearby patrons. Anna's heart pounded with the velocity of betrayal. She realized in that moment how deeply she had hoped to be wrong. Even confronted with evidence, she'd clung to the desperate belief that there might be a misunderstanding. But Daniel's silence roared the truth. Her husband, the one person she trusted above all else, had shattered her world. Slowly, she felt the heat of her fury give way to an icy numbness. She placed a protective hand over her belly. It was a subtle gesture, but it spoke volumes. She might be broken, but she wasn't alone. Life thrived within her, and she would protect it at any cost. Tessa took a step back, eyes flicking to Daniel. "I think I'll leave you two to figure this out." "Daniel, call me when you—" "Don't you dare walk away," Anna snapped, surprising even herself with the force in her voice. "Not until I get an answer." She was tired of being brushed aside, tired of letting others dictate her life. If Tessa thought she could simply slip away, she was mistaken. Under the weight of her glare, Tessa paused. An uneasy silence stretched. Daniel opened and closed his fists at his sides, clearly struggling to maintain composure in front of the growing crowd. "Anna," Daniel whispered, his eyes pleading, "let's go upstairs. We can reserve a private suite here at the plaza. just to talk. Please, not here. You've done plenty here already, Anna said, voice trembling with a mix of heartbreak and rage. No. Whatever you have to say it now. In front of me, this crowd, and your mistress. A hush blanketed the room as Daniel inhaled a shaky breath. For a moment, guilt glimmered in his eyes. Then, as if a dam had burst, words began tumbling out. He admitted he'd been seeing Tessa for a few months, initially for business advice. One deal led to after meeting drinks, which led to something more. He hadn't meant for it to happen, but it did. He was ashamed. He claimed he still loved Anna and wanted to make things right, but he was in so deep. He didn't know how to pull himself out. Anna stood there, trembling, tears burning behind her eyes. She felt the eyes of the bar upon her, some pitying, some judging. She wanted to scream, to collapse, to rage at the unfairness of it all. Instead, she managed a choked whisper, "After meeting drinks? You had an affair while I carried our child." Daniel flinched. Tessa, to her credit, seemed momentarily uncomfortable. Or perhaps that was just Anna, imagining a flicker of shame. Tessa's mask of confidence never slipped far. "I didn't expect things to go this far," Tessa offered, as though that was any consolation. Anna couldn't bear to stand there any longer. She turned on her heels, ignoring Daniel's pleas to wait. She hurried out of the bar, the clack of her heels echoing loudly in her ears. The baby shifted again, and Anna fought back the tears until she was safely out of sight. Only once she reached the lobby restroom did she let the sobs break free. Anna locked herself in a spacious stall and let her tears flow freely. She pressed her head against the cool tile wall, feeling a world of anguish crashing over her. The memory of Tessa's smirk, Daniel's faltering excuses, and the pitying glances of strangers all merged into a suffocating cloud. She looked down at her swollen belly. The baby was due in a few months. "We're going to be okay," she whispered, voice trembling. She had to protect her child, but how? Her entire life, her marriage, her trust, her sense of security was unraveling. She realized this was more than just an affair. It was a betrayal of vows, of a foundation they had promised to build together. Anger flared up once again, mingling with desperation. She wiped her tears and pulled her phone from her purse, ignoring the chaos of missed calls and frantic messages from Daniel. She dialed Alicia's number. "I caught him," Anna managed, voice unsteady. Alicia's gasp on the other end was all the confirmation she needed. Alicia offered to come pick her up, but Anna declined. She wanted no more humiliation for the night, no more public scenes. With a shaky determination, she left the restroom and headed for the elevator banks. If Daniel wanted to talk privately, she would give him the chance, if only to secure clarity for herself and for her unborn child. She pressed the call button, eyes catching her reflection in the mirrored wall, puffy eyes, smudged makeup, heartbreak etched into every line of her face. The elevator dinged open. She stepped inside, fists clenched. She would face Daniel, but on her terms. And she would find out just how deep his lies ran. On the 15th floor of the plaza, Daniel had hastily booked a suite. A trembling bellhop led Anna to a door, his eyes darting nervously between Anna's tear-streaked face and the plush hallway. He seemed to sense the tension and hurried away the moment he set down her suitcase of belongings that she had spontaneously grabbed from the penthouse before following Daniel. Anna paused outside the door, breath uneven. She knew Daniel was inside, waiting. She could almost feel his guilt seeping through the walls. But she had to do this. After a few seconds, she slid the keycard through the lock and entered. Daniel stood near the large bay window overlooking Fifth Avenue. City lights twinkled like fallen stars, a stark contrast to the turmoil within the room. He turned, eyes red-rimmed. He looked like he wanted to speak, but couldn't find the words. Anna shut the door softly behind her. She kept her back against it, as though needing physical support. You wanted privacy, she said in a low tone. Now we have it. Talk. Daniel cleared his throat. Anna, I'm sorry. I never intended to hurt you. Things just spiraled. Tessa was helping me with a new tech expansion in Europe. We started spending time together and it got complicated. That's all? Anna asked bitterly. You got bored with your pregnant wife at home, so you decided to spend time with another woman? Shame flickered in his eyes. That's not how it started. But yes, that's where it ended up. And it was wrong. I hate myself for it. He stepped closer, but Anna held up a hand to stop him. What about me? About us? Her voice cracked. Did you consider what this would do to me? Or to our child? Daniel swallowed hard. I was an idiot. I got caught up in the excitement, the secrecy. But it meant nothing, Anna. I swear. I care about you. I care about our baby. Sure, Anna snapped. When did you plan to mention the jewelry you bought her? Or the private dinners? Or the champagne in that bar? Because it sure looked like it meant something. Or were you going to wait until one accidentally walked in on you again? He faltered, unable to produce a decent excuse. Anna felt a wave of nausea. The emotional stress, combined with her pregnancy, was overwhelming. She sank into an armchair, pressing a hand to her belly. Instantly, Daniel rushed to her side, concern flashing in his eyes. Don't touch me, she hissed, though she was grateful to be seated. You made your choices. Now deal with the consequences. For a moment, Daniel stood helpless, arms hovering as if wanting to support her. His voice was raw when he finally spoke. I love you, Anna. This was a mistake, a terrible, regrettable mistake. But I need a chance to fix this. I can break it off with Tessa immediately. I'll do anything you want. Just, please don't leave me. Anna stared at him, disbelief roiling in her gut. You think it's that easy? Just end it with Tessa, and everything goes back to normal? She let out a hollow laugh. You lied to me for months. You made me question my sanity when I suspected you. You forced me to catch you red-handed for you to even admit the truth. You think I can just forget that? Daniel's face fell, and tears shimmered in his eyes. He started to speak, but Anna held up a finger. She needed to say her piece. Marriage is built on trust, and you've broken that trust in the cruelest way possible while I'm carrying our child. Even if I wanted to forgive you, I'm not sure I could. It hurts too much. A strangled sob escaped Daniel. In all the time Anna had known him, she had never seen him so vulnerable. He was a billionaire, used to controlling outcomes and paying his way out of problems. But here, in this suite, with the city lights behind him, he was just a man facing the wreckage of his actions. Anna felt the faint stirring of pity, but overshadowing that was rage, heartbreak, and a fierce maternal instinct to shield her unborn baby from further pain. I need time, she whispered, voice heavy with exhaustion. I need space to think. So many months you were with her. I don't know how to process that. I don't even know if I can. Daniel reached out a trembling hand. I'll give you whatever you need. Please, let me make this right. I'll cut Tessa out. I'll see a counselor. His words tapered off as Anna shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. It might be too late for that, she said softly, then rose from the chair. Before Daniel could protest, she walked toward the door. I'm going home. Alone. He called out her name, but Anna walked down the corridor without looking back, stepping into an elevator that felt like a confessional booth. As the door slid shut, she wasn't sure if she was leaving just the suite or the life she and Daniel had built, because it was painfully clear that nothing would ever be the same again. Anna spent the night at their penthouse guest room, locking the door to keep Daniel out. She wanted distance, but ironically, her mind was racing through every detail of the confrontation, refusing to let her rest. Her phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from Daniel. Apologies, promises, pleas. She stared at them through bleary eyes, unsure if the man she once adored existed anymore. The next morning, Alicia arrived unannounced, letting herself in with the spare key. Anna was still in her nightgown, dark circles under her eyes. Alicia immediately enveloped her in a hug. It was the first act of genuine kindness Anna had felt in what seemed like ages, and it nearly broke her resolve. She wept into Alicia's shoulder, words tumbling out about how the affair had started, how Tessa was intimately involved in Daniel's new business projects, and how everything felt irreparably shattered. Alicia stroked her hair and listened patiently. "I had a bad feeling," Alicia murmured. "Daniel's been so secretive, even with me. I wish I'd told you sooner. I'm sorry." Anna pulled away, wiping her tears. "It's not your fault. Daniel made his choice. I don't know how to handle it." Alicia hesitated, then admitted, "There's more you should know. I didn't mention it because I wasn't sure, but I suspect Tessa isn't just a random consultant. She's been linked to other powerful men, and word is she uses her relationships to gain control in business deals. There are rumors that she blackmails them." Anna's stomach lurched. "Blackmail? You think Daniel?" Alicia sighed. "I don't know, but Tessa's not the type to let a billionaire slip through her fingers without some gain, especially if it ends badly." This revelation weighed on Anna like a boulder. The baby kicked, as if sensing her tension. She realized that the nightmare might stretch beyond personal betrayal into scandal, threats, public humiliation. Could Tessa have planned all this, seeing Daniel as a ticket to wealth and power? At that moment, Daniel knocked softly on the guest room door. "Anna? Alicia? Can I come in?" Anna looked to Alicia, who gave a subtle nod. Anna cracked open the door. Daniel stood there, looking disheveled, eyes rimmed with red. He glanced at Alicia but focused on Anna. "We need to talk. It's urgent." He inhaled sharply. "I got word this morning that Tessa's threatening to leak details of our relationship to the media unless I pay her a large sum. She also hinted at some damaging files, some corporate deals that she claims could ruin my reputation. I swear I didn't know about any blackmail. She's never asked for money until now, but apparently she's recorded conversations, has photos. Anna, if this gets out, it could ruin everything." Anna's head spun. Alicia shot her a pointed look. This was exactly what she'd feared. Anna braced herself, swallowing the bitter taste of betrayal. Her voice was icy. "So now you want my help?" After humiliating me in front of half of New York, Daniel wiped a hand over his face. "I deserve that. But yes, I need your help. I can't handle this alone." And his gaze flickered to Anna's stomach. "I want to make sure our child doesn't grow up with a father in disgrace. I know you might not want to be with me anymore, but please, at least help me face this problem." A swirl of conflict tore through Anna. Part of her wanted to say no, to let Daniel stew in the mess he created. But she knew the scandal would drag her down as well and possibly harm the baby. Reluctantly, she nodded. "We'll talk, but don't expect forgiveness." Seated around the living room table, Anna, Alicia, and Daniel pored over the text messages Tessa had sent. The demands were explicit. A $5 million payment transferred discreetly to an offshore account in exchange for her silence. She threatened to leak incriminating pictures and audio to tabloids if Daniel refused. There was a mention of a tech competitor who would love to see Daniel's empire crumble. It was a twisted labyrinth of threats, secrets, and potential ruin. Anna felt sick reading Tessa's smug words. "She's basically using your affair as leverage to blackmail you," she said, voice shaking. "You gave her everything she needed, Daniel. How could you be so careless?" He bowed his head. "I was blinded by lust, by stupidity. I never thought she'd do this." "Well, she did," Alicia snapped. "So what's the plan? Pay her? Go to the police? try to reason with her, Daniel stared at the text messages, despair etched into his features. Paying her might only encourage more demands. Going to the police would make this public and a huge scandal. If she really has incriminating material about my business deals, it could trigger an investigation. My investors would pull out. The board would lose faith. We could lose billions. Anna's frustration peaked. So your primary concern is your business. He lifted his eyes, desperation and regret mingling. No, I'm worried about us, about you and the baby. I know I messed up, but I still have responsibilities to everyone who works at my companies, to our employees and shareholders. If Tessa's threats are real, a scandal of that magnitude could destroy countless livelihoods. I need to handle this carefully. Anna exhaled heavily, forcing herself to remain calm. Fine. So what do we do? They brainstormed. Alicia suggested contacting a top-notch security firm. Anna recommended gathering any evidence they had that could discredit Tessa. Daniel hesitated, worrying that might spur Tessa to release her dirt sooner. Eventually, they decided to meet Tessa on neutral ground, a private law office under the guidance of Daniel's legal counsel, to see if they could negotiate a resolution without succumbing to blackmail or inciting further wrath. Anna felt her heart pounding as they arranged the meeting for the next day. Part of her still reeled from the personal betrayal. Now she was thrown into corporate intrigue that could overshadow everything else. She realized with dismay that Tessa hadn't just hurt her marriage, she had inserted herself into the very framework of Daniel's world, and by extension, Anna's world too. The next day, Anna arrived at the high-rise law firm with Alicia and Daniel. A team of attorneys awaited them in a gleaming conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Manhattan skyline. Tessa was scheduled to appear in an hour. The tension was palpable. Anna sat at the far end of the long mahogany table, hands clasped over her belly. She wished she were anywhere else. She scanned the array of serious suits, Daniel's top corporate lawyer, a crisis manager who specialized in high-profile scandals, and a private investigator discreetly situated in a corner. Everyone murmured in hushed voices, analyzing possible outcomes. The clock ticked ominously until the moment Tessa swept in, wearing a perfectly tailored black suit and exuding an air of supreme confidence. She didn't come alone. Her own attorney, a sharp-faced woman with a briefcase, followed close behind. Tessa's eyes locked onto Daniel, then darted to Anna. A flicker of something akin to contempt passed over her features. "Shall we sit?" Tessa said coolly, gesturing to the table. Her attorney placed a stack of documents before them. "We can keep this simple. I have what I have. You have the funds you have. Let's not complicate matters." Anna's anger burned. She wanted to scream at Tessa for daring to speak so casually after everything she'd done. But she kept silent, letting Daniel's lawyers take the lead. They questioned the validity of Tessa's supposed evidence, demanded proof. Tessa smirked and played an audio snippet on her phone. Daniel's voice discussing sensitive information about an upcoming merger, coupled with flirtatious banter. It was enough to make Anna's stomach churn, and enough to prove Tessa did have leverage. The negotiation spiraled into a tense standoff. Tessa demanded immediate payment. Daniel's team insisted on partial disbursement only after Tessa signed a non-disclosure agreement and handed over all evidence. Tessa's lawyer coolly retorted that a single payment was non-negotiable, or the media would receive a juicy scandal. Anna fought the urge to slam her fist on the table. Instead, she said quietly, "Tessa, why are you doing this? You already had Daniel. You had the affair. Isn't that what you wanted?" Tessa glanced at Anna, a faint smirk playing on her lips. "What I want is to be compensated for my time and expertise. This is business, Anna. Don't take it so personally. Daniel and I had a relationship, yes, but that's not the real story here. The real story is the power I hold, power you were never going to have. Daniel clenched his jaw, about to respond, but Anna's gentle but firm voice cut him off. You talk about power as though it's everything, but real power isn't about money or blackmail. It's about respect, loyalty, empathy, things you clearly know nothing about. Tessa's eyes flickered with disdain, but she stayed silent. Her lawyer, however, pressed the matter, returning to the demands. Hours ticked by. Negotiations punctuated by tense silences, phone calls, half-hearted compromises. In the end, no agreement was reached. Tessa refused to budge on her single-payment ultimatum. Daniel's lawyers refused to release such a vast sum without guaranteed destruction of all evidence. As Tessa rose to leave, she shot a parting remark, chilling and succinct. You have 48 hours to decide, Daniel. After that, the tapes go public. And trust me, once they do, your entire world will crumble. Then she swept out, leaving the conference room in a state of shock. Night fell, and the law office cleared out. Daniel, Alicia, and Anna remained, quietly discussing next steps with the crisis manager, a man named Robert Gaines. He laid out the stark reality. If Tessa released the incriminating evidence, Daniel's personal and professional reputation would be in shambles. Investors would flee, lawsuits could ensue, and the scandal would ripple into Anna's life, their unborn child's future, and every philanthropic endeavor the Calhoun name was tied to. Alicia fumed, pacing back and forth. She's bluffing. She must be bluffing, she insisted, though her tone lacked conviction. Daniel ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I'm not sure. Even if half of it is bluff, the other half is still damaging. Anna rubbed her temples, exhaustion gripping her. What do we do, Robert? Robert adjusted his tie, the strain of the day etched on his face. My recommendation is to gather any counter-evidence or to secure an injunction against Tessa, though that process could take time. Alternatively, if you believe Tessa truly won't budge, paying her might be your quickest path out, though ethically. I never recommend capitulating to blackmail. Anna frowned. The idea of simply handing over millions to the woman who wrecked her marriage made her stomach churn. But the stakes were terrifying. She could already imagine tabloids running front-page headlines, billionaire's affair exposed, pregnant wife betrayed. She imagined the paparazzi hounding her, the baby. The thought filled her with dread. She turned to Daniel, her voice weary. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about our child. If Tessa goes public, that scandal will follow our baby forever. Daniel's face tightened. I know, and that's what scares me most. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We have 48 hours. Let's see if we can find a way to discredit her. If we can prove she's blackmailed others, or if her evidence is doctored, we might weaken her position. Robert, can you get your investigator on that? Robert nodded. I'll start immediately. Good, Daniel said. And if it fails, we'll decide if paying her is a necessary evil. Anna and Alicia exchanged worried looks. This was not a simple negotiation, not a typical business deal. A wave of despair washed over Anna. She recalled the day she said I do to Daniel, believing in a bright future. Now, just a short time later, she was haggling with lawyers and crisis managers, dealing with the fallout of an affair she never dreamed possible. Yet, in the darkest corner of her heart, Anna felt a flicker of resolve. She wasn't just a victim. She was a mother. And for the sake of her child, she would find a way to navigate this hellish predicament, even if it meant facing unimaginable confrontations. Over the next day, Robert's investigator unearthed a trove of rumors tying Tessa to past blackmail attempts. However, most of those cases seemed carefully buried or settled out of court. No one wanted to go on record against her, likely fearing further exposure. Desperate, Anna took a different approach. She reached out to a source from her past, an old friend named Cora, who now worked as a journalist for the New York Times. Cora was known for her investigative tenacity. They met secretly at a small cafe in Midtown, far from the glitz of Daniel's usual haunts. Sitting across from Cora in a quiet booth, Anna explained the situation. She recounted Tessa's threats, the affair, the blackmail. She hadn't intended to share so many personal details, but she trusted Cora's discretion. Cora listened gravely, jotting notes in a small leather notebook. "This Tessa sounds like a professional extortionist," Cora said. "I might be able to tap some sources, see if there's anything I can dig up that's not publicly known. If I find something, it might help you turn the tables." Anna breathed a shaky sigh of relief. "Thank you. Just, please keep my identity under wraps. I don't want a bigger scandal." Cora reached across the table, squeezing Anna's hand gently. "I promise, I'll do what I can." Parting ways, Anna felt marginally hopeful. But as the hours ticked closer to Tessa's 48-hour deadline, anxiety gnawed at her. Daniel's entire team was on high alert. Alicia hovered near Anna like a protective sister, while Daniel immersed himself in strategy meetings. Late that evening, Cora called Anna. Her voice was tense. "Anna, I dug around. It seems Tessa has ties to a known corporate saboteur. She's done this routine before: lure wealthy men, gather secrets, threaten them, or feed info to business rivals for profit." A chill coursed through Anna. "So it's definitely bigger than just an affair." "Absolutely," Cora confirmed. "She's systematically targeted men who oversee lucrative deals. There's a rumor that she's connected to Winston Mackey, the head of a rival tech conglomerate. If that's true, she might be funneling your husband's secrets directly to him, or using them to manipulate Daniel into making bad decisions that favor Mackey's interests." Anna's mind whirled. Winston Mackey was a major competitor in Daniel's sphere. If Tessa was working with him, the stakes were even higher. Daniel's empire might not just suffer from scandal, it could be systematically dismantled. "Thank you, Cora," Anna managed. "This is huge." "Use it wisely," Cora advised, "and carefully." Armed with Cora's information, Daniel's crisis team launched into overdrive. If Tessa was feeding secrets to Winston Mackey, that constituted industrial espionage. They could threaten Tessa with a lawsuit or even criminal charges if she was found complicit. But they needed proof, and time was running out. The atmosphere in the penthouse felt electric with tension. Anna's phone pinged with a text message from Tessa, a mocking reminder of the deadline. Now just 12 hours away, Alicia prowled the hallways, chewing her nails and cursing under her breath. Daniel retreated to his study with phone calls, trying to gather any intel on Mackey's potential involvement. Just before midnight, Robert, the crisis manager, announced they had enough circumstantial evidence to confront Tessa. While not a smoking gun, it might be enough to scare her into backing down, or at least negotiating more favorably. Anna's stomach twisted with dread and morning sickness. She wished none of this was happening. She wished she could be a normal, expectant mother, worried about baby clothes and nursery colors, not blackmail and corporate sabotage. But fate had dealt her this hand, and she resolved to see it through. Strangely, Tessa insisted on meeting again at the Plaza Hotel bar. It was as if she reveled in the very place where Anna caught them. The irony wasn't lost on Anna. But Daniel's team agreed, hoping the public space would discourage Tessa from dramatic outbursts. When Anna arrived, her heart thundered with painful familiarity. The same chandeliers twinkled overhead, the same plush seating, but everything felt colder, sharper. She found Tessa sipping a martini in the corner booth, completely at ease. Her lawyer was absent this time, a power move to appear more personal, no doubt. Daniel, Robert, and Alicia joined Anna. Tessa raised an eyebrow, glancing over the group. I take it you've decided to pay then? Daniel slid into a seat across from her. Actually, we have some new information. We know you've been in contact with Winston Mackey. Sharing corporate secrets is corporate espionage. We have enough to file charges if you release anything you claim to have. And those charges could put you away for a long time. Tessa's smirk wavered, only slightly, but Anna caught it. I don't know what you're talking about, Tessa replied, tossing her hair dismissively. Yet a flicker of uncertainty danced in her eyes. Robert pressed a folder to the table. Emails, phone logs, bank transfers. You've been in discussions with a shell company that leads directly back to Mackey. If you expose any private data about Calhoun Industries, we'll have proof you did so with criminal intent. Tessa's eyes narrowed. So what's this? A bluff? Try us. Alicia shot back, her voice ice cold. Anna watched Tessa's face carefully. Beneath that veneer of confidence, Anna spotted fear. The blackmail scheme was built on her advantage, an advantage that had now evaporated. She had power only if Daniel was scared, but now he had evidence that could ruin her. For a moment, Tessa seemed to calculate her next move. Then, with a sigh, she leaned back, swirling her martini. Fine. You've done your homework, so let's talk real numbers. Daniel blinked. Numbers? We just told you we can take this to court if you try anything. Tessa chuckled humorlessly. And you'll cause a scandal in the process, right? You think the press won't cover a corporate espionage suit? Your dirty laundry will be aired out anyway. My guess is you still want this buried. So how about a reduced fee for my silence? 2 million, not 5. I'll sign whatever agreement you want, and we all walk away unscathed. Anna felt her blood boil. Tessa was incorrigible, shifting tactics the moment she lost leverage. She was still demanding a fortune for secrecy. Robert coughed, turning to Daniel. This was the moment of decision. Fight and risk everything in a messy trial, or pay and end it quietly. Daniel looked at Anna, helplessness etched in his eyes. She knew what this meant. If Tessa agreed to keep silent, the scandal might be contained. The baby could be protected from a media circus. But it also meant letting Tessa win, to some extent. Anna's heart pounded with conflicting emotions. She didn't want Tessa to profit from her betrayal, yet the baby's future weighed heavily. Finally, Daniel spoke, voice measured. 2 million in exchange for all copies of the evidence, the NDA, and the guarantee of total silence. If you so much as utter my name to the press, we release our evidence of your espionage attempts. Understood? Tessa downed the last of her martini. Understood. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers. Anna clenched her fists, holding back a storm of emotions. She hated that Tessa was getting away with so much, but she needed to protect herself, her child, and perhaps even Daniel's employees, who depended on his company's stability. The moral compromise stung like a fresh wound. After the confrontation, Tessa left with a triumphant smirk, but not without handing over a flash drive. She claimed it held everything: photos, audio, videos. Robert promised to verify it meticulously, ensuring Tessa wasn't holding back additional copies. Anna stood with Daniel near the bar's entrance, feeling drained and hollow. Alicia gave them space, stepping aside to make a phone call. The bartender discreetly avoided eye contact. Sensing the gravity, Daniel let out a trembling breath. I'm sorry it came to this. Paying her, it feels wrong. Anna nodded wearily. It is wrong, but we do what we have to, I suppose. Silence fell. Anna placed a hand on her belly, her thoughts swirling. She was relieved the immediate threat was contained, but heartbreak remained. The affair, Tessa's cruelty, the blackmail, it all left a permanent scar. Daniel began, hesitating. I want you to know none of this was worth it. If I could turn back time, I'd give anything to fix what I broke between us. Anna stared at the chandelier overhead. For a moment, She pictured the wedding day again, the promised forever. Then Tessa's face intruded, mocking her naivete. "Daniel," she said softly, "this doesn't magically erase what happened. Even if Tessa vanishes, the pain remains. I don't know if I can forgive you." He bowed his head. "I understand." A long pause lingered. Anna finally mustered a flicker of compassion. "What happens to us now?" He looked at her with desperate hope. "We try therapy. We rebuild trust, if you'll let me. I'm not asking for miracles, just a chance to prove I'm not the man Tessa made me out to be. Please." Anna's throat constricted. She didn't answer immediately. She wanted to believe there was a path forward, especially for their child, but the wounds were too raw. "I need time," she whispered. "We'll see." Life settled into an uneasy routine. The immediate crisis with Tessa was resolved. Lawyers finalized the NDA and wire transfer. Robert's team verified the flash drive's contents before placing them in secure storage. For now, Tessa was gone, but the emotional wreckage remained. As the weeks passed, Anna tried to distance herself from the heartbreak. She attended prenatal checkups, focusing on the growing life inside her. Occasionally, Daniel accompanied her, offering quiet support, but Anna kept him at arm's length. Then, in a twist of fate that felt like cosmic retribution, Daniel's businesses took a series of hits unrelated to Tessa. A global economic downturn battered stock prices. A key investor withdrew from a major project at the last minute. Lawsuits unrelated to the scandal emerged, claiming patent infringements in one of Calhoun Industries' tech subsidiaries. It was a perfect storm, hitting Daniel from all sides. Anna watched as Daniel scrambled to keep the company afloat. Board members questioned his leadership. Rumors of the near scandal with Tessa spread quietly among a few insiders, eroding confidence further. Some whispered that Daniel had lost his edge, that he'd become too distracted by personal drama to steer the empire effectively. Despite the tension between them, Anna felt a pang of sympathy. She saw him come home late, eyes shadowed with exhaustion, the once confident swagger gone. But part of her also recognized this as a form of karma. He had betrayed his marriage, and now fate was punishing him in ways neither of them could have foreseen. One evening, as Daniel sat in his home office, staring at financial spreadsheets with despair, Anna entered quietly. She'd brought tea, a small gesture of peace. He glanced up, surprised. "Hey," he said, voice husky from sleepless nights. She offered a faint smile, placing the cup on his desk. "Chamomile. Thought you might need something calming." He sighed gratefully, taking a sip. "Thanks." Anna hesitated, unsure how to proceed. "I heard about the layoffs. That must be tough." He nodded, eyes clouded with guilt. "It is. I hate letting people go. But if we don't cut costs, the company could collapse entirely." A wave of compassion swept over Anna. Despite everything, she remembered the side of Daniel who cared about people, who believed in building a legacy that helped others. "Maybe there's another way," she offered gently. "I know we're not in the best place, but if you want someone to brainstorm with, I'm here." Daniel's gaze softened, gratitude flickering in his tired eyes. "I'd like that. I miss talking with you about anything really." Something in Anna's chest tightened. She missed it too. Days turned into hours of stiff politeness, overshadowed by the betrayal. Yet a thread of connection lingered. She pulled a chair closer, glancing over the reports. "Let's see if we can find a strategy that minimizes job losses. Maybe restructure some departments, explore new partnerships." They delved into discussions, analyzing numbers and possible solutions. It was oddly reminiscent of their early days, when they'd talk excitedly about Daniel's business ideas. But now, the air was heavy with unspoken regret. At midnight, they realized they'd spent hours together, forging a tentative truce. Anna rubbed her belly, feeling the baby shift. Daniel watched with a mix of awe and sorrow. He reached a hand out, then paused, unsure if he was allowed to rest it on her stomach. Anna swallowed hard, then nodded. As Daniel's palm met the gentle curve of her pregnancy, the baby kicked. They both smiled, an instinctive, genuine moment of shared wonder. For a fleeting second, the distance between them shrank, replaced by a quiet sense of possibility. In the following weeks, Anna continued to help Daniel with strategies to stabilize the company. She wasn't a business prodigy, but her intuition and attention to detail offered fresh perspectives that Daniel's executives appreciated. Together, they implemented cost-saving measures without severe layoffs, opting for temporary pay cuts at the executive level instead. Morale improved. Investors took note. Slowly the ship began to right itself. Meanwhile, Anna's due date inched closer. She spent hours reading about childbirth, attending prenatal classes, and preparing the nursery. Daniel accompanied her on more appointments, carefully treading the fragile line between them. Neither had declared a final decision on the marriage. Anna's hurt was still there, but so was a cautious sense of rebuilding. Alicia noticed the shift, dropping by with baby gifts and supportive words. Even Robert, the crisis manager, commented on how the atmosphere around Daniel had improved. Tessa remained silent, likely well settled with her 2 million. The ghost of her betrayal lingered, but it didn't overshadow daily life as it once had. Still, Anna wrestled with her conflicted emotions. She found Daniel's efforts to redeem himself sincere. He cut off all questionable social ties, gave her full access to his communications, and started therapy sessions, both individual and with Anna, when she was willing. But trust was a delicate plant, and the wound was deep. Late one night, as thunder rumbled across the city skyline, Anna felt the first sharp pangs of labor. She was in bed, trying to sleep, when a contraction ripped through her abdomen. She gasped, panic racing up her spine. Quickly, she shook Daniel awake. His eyes flew open, instantly alert. "Is it time?" She nodded, breath hitching with pain. I think so." A rush of adrenaline hit them both. They grabbed the hospital bag, called Alicia, and sped through the rain-slicked streets to Mount Sinai Hospital. Nurses whisked Anna into a birthing suite, hooking her up to monitors. The baby's heartbeat filled the room with a rapid, comforting rhythm. Daniel stood by her side, holding her hand. She gritted her teeth through contractions, sweat beading her forehead. Fear mingled with excitement. This was the day they'd meet their child, a new life born from their turbulent union. Hours blurred into a haze of pain, pushing, tears. Daniel whispered encouragement, apologizing for every misstep, promising to be a better man, a better father. Anna focused on one singular goal: bring their baby safely into the world. Despite the heartbreak, the betrayal, in that moment, she was grateful Daniel was there. At dawn, a shrill cry filled the room. Their son emerged, small and wrinkled and perfect. The nurse placed him on Anna's chest, and she burst into tears, overwhelmed by love so powerful. It erased every other thought. Daniel, tears streaming down his face, leaned in to kiss the baby's tiny forehead. They named him Benjamin, a name Anna had loved since childhood. Holding Benjamin, Anna felt the universe shift, as if everything else paled in comparison. She caught Daniel's gaze, and for a moment, forgiveness seemed possible. Not guaranteed, but attainable someday. In the days after Benjamin's birth, Anna and Daniel remained at the hospital, absorbing the joys and challenges of new parenthood. Their families visited, showering them with love and congratulations. Alicia was particularly overjoyed, snapping endless photos of her nephew. Anna noticed a transformation in Daniel. He spent hours cradling Benjamin, talking softly to him about the world, about values and dreams. It was a side of him Anna hadn't seen in a long time: gentle, vulnerable, real. While the pain of betrayal still lingered, the sight of Daniel as a doting father softened something in her heart. When they finally brought Benjamin home, Anna stepped into the nursery with awe. It was a tranquil space, soft pastel walls, a crib adorned with plush animals, a glider by the window overlooking the city. She placed Benjamin in the crib, watching as he dozed off, oblivious to the storms that had raged before his arrival. Daniel hovered in the doorway, hesitant. "Anna?" She turned, tired but content. "Yes?" He swallowed hard. "I just wanted to say I'm grateful for letting me be here, for giving me a chance to show up for our son. I know it doesn't erase what I did, but I want you to know how deeply sorry I am." Anna felt emotion welling up. "I appreciate that, I do." She glanced at Benjamin's sleeping form. "He deserves both of us at our best." Daniel nodded, stepping into the room. He tentatively wrapped an arm around Anna's shoulder. She didn't pull away. Together, they watched their newborn son breathe in gentle little sighs. The future was uncertain, but in that shared moment of parenthood, they found a fragile promise of hope. Time passed. Benjamin grew, and so did the complexities of Anna and Daniel's relationship. Therapy sessions became a weekly routine. Anna unpacked the betrayal, Daniel confronted his flaws, and they tentatively rebuilt trust. It wasn't linear. There were arguments, setbacks, nights Anna slept in the guest room. But there were also breakthroughs, moments of genuine closeness that hinted at a stronger bond than before. Professionally, Daniel fought tooth and nail to restore Calhoun Industries. Bit by bit, the company stabilized, regaining investor confidence. Reports praised Daniel's resilience, attributing it to his renewed focus. Only Anna and a few others knew the personal cost behind that focus. Then came the final twist of karma, Tessa's downfall. News broke that she'd attempted a similar blackmail on Winston Mackey himself, trying to extort money by threatening to leak false secrets about Mackey's company. But Mackey had set a trap, collaborating with law enforcement. Tessa was arrested on charges of attempted extortion and fraud. The tabloids devoured the scandal, though they never mentioned Daniel or Anna thanks to the ironclad NDA. When Anna heard the news, she felt a weight lift. Tessa was finally facing the consequences of her actions. The chapter of fear was truly closing. A sense of poetic justice shimmered, as though the universe had balanced itself. By the time Benjamin celebrated his first birthday, Anna and Daniel found themselves in a more peaceful place. The affair and blackmail remained part of their history, an unerasable scar, but they had navigated through it together. Anna had witnessed Daniel's genuine remorse, his willingness to be better, and Daniel had discovered that true power, indeed, came from honesty, vulnerability, and respect. They threw a small birthday party at the penthouse, just family and close friends. Benjamin squealed with delight at the sight of balloons and cake, blissfully unaware of the drama that once threatened to tear his family apart. Anna caught Daniel's eye across the room, and he gave her a soft smile. She smiled back, a signal that while forgiveness wasn't absolute, love still had room to grow. Later that night, once everyone had gone and Benjamin was asleep, they stood on the balcony together, gazing at the shimmering cityscape. Daniel slipped a hand around her waist. "We've come a long way." Anna leaned into him, exhaling softly. "Yes, we have." They shared a quiet moment, each knowing the future remained unwritten. But for the first time in a long while, that uncertainty felt like possibility rather than dread. This story reminds us that trust can be torn apart in an instant and takes far longer to mend. Secrets, temptations, and betrayals don't just threaten our happiness, they challenge our very identity and the foundations we've built with those we love. When deception collides with loyalty, when ambition eclipses compassion, the fallout tests even the strongest bonds. Yet, amid the wreckage, hope can still find its way. Confronting our darkest mistakes, taking responsibility, and refusing to give in to blackmail or fear can lead to a path of redemption. If this tale of heartbreak, scandal, and ultimate resilience resonates with you, consider sharing it with friends who might need a reminder that even in life's most tumultuous storms, there's always a chance for renewal. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support more riveting tales ahead.